Okay, so welcome back to another SnowRunner truck review. This is going to be a quick update here on the Western Star Wolfpack DLC in Season 8. And as I've said before, I will give you guys an update here, and right now we're going to do that. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what has been updated on these three vehicles: the Western Star 57X, the 47X NF 1430, and the 1427 that came in the Wolfpack DLC prior to Season 8. They have gotten some updates here as soon as this launched today here on October 13th, 2022. So we'll talk about what has been updated, and then we'll talk about how these updates impact these trucks. And then I will go into some similarities that I now see with these trucks and other vehicles that are currently in the game based upon these updates. And then lastly, I'll just give you my thoughts on what I think these updates have done for these trucks, and overall just my general thoughts. So let's jump in here and let's talk about what has been updated. So what has been updated so far is these vehicles have all gotten a switchable all-wheel drive and some add-on changes as well. So every truck here has now a switchable feature. The NF 1430 is the only vehicle that does still have a differential locking. These vehicles also have been given raised suspension options, except for the 1430, which doesn't have one. The 1424 has the active and the raised, and the 57X has the raised option, giving it larger tires as well. So now some add-ons that have changed on these trucks, which I believe came from some complaints from the community. The 57X, however, did not receive any of those. The 47X, however, did receive some updates. It can now use a small crane, a sideboard bed, in conjunction with a hitch trailer, which is a pretty large upgrade as well. It can use a small crane with a saddle low, and then lastly, it can do this, which we did not expect this to happen, but it can now self-load itself with logs in the long log fashion, which has become really nice to do, especially in hard mode, because there aren't many trucks that can do this. So the added frame length of this vehicle is now being used effectively, which has been huge impact on this truck. So awesome things right there. Next and lastly, for the NF 1424, it was given a maintenance frame add-on. I'm not quite sure why it was given this. As you can see, it does have a very short frame, the shortest frame of all these trucks here. Actually, it's probably similar to the 57X, but I don't think it should have got this. I would have loved to see a small crane up here in conjunction with this low saddle. I think there's enough space for it. I wish that was the case. However, it is not, but it did get a maintenance frame add-on for those who want to use it in that fashion. So next, we are going to talk about how these upgrades will impact these trucks. Alright, so next, the question is, how will all-wheel drive and these add-ons affect these trucks, and how will they impact them? Well, it's pretty simple. All-wheel drive now allows these trucks to be more versatile with their add-ons. Before, you notice that they did have some add-ons, especially the other two trucks there. The 47X vehicles had more add-ons than the 57X, and still, because of their capabilities, they couldn't really be versatile because they just couldn't get to places. So now they can tackle better terrain having all-wheel drive, and they can just get to other places and not need so much support. And this is something that has been really nice to see, especially driving around the new Phase 8 with these trucks. I've been noticing that they're pretty self-sufficient. I can't say the same about some recent maps like Amore and the Yukon and other than that, but so far it's been pretty darn good. Next, we're going to talk about the similarities to other trucks that I see in game. And I'm going to just kind of give you a side-by-side comparison of what I think these trucks now seem like compared to trucks that are already in the game and have been in the game for quite some time. So here it is, the 57X Western Star. This vehicle, I do believe, is very similar to the BM17 right now. And because of this all-wheel drive being added, and no diff lock, we all kind of had our complaints about the BM17. We know that how powerful diff lock is in conjunction with all-wheel drive, and you can kind of feel that with the 57X here. However, there are some differences. So some differences you're going to see here is the BM17 is quite heavier than the 57X. It actually weighs 2 times the amount as the 57X does, and in conjunction with that, at 10.4 tons compared to the 57X weighing 5 tons US, this thing maxes out at 44-inch tires with its raised suspension, and the BM17, as you can see, gets 51-inch tires. They both just have all-wheel drive, no differential locking, so you're going to see similar performance based on that out of these vehicles. However, the BM17 is going to perform better. It's a little simple fact that larger tires, better ground clearance is going to get you better results in off-road. So you're going to see the Western Star still struggle in those areas that the BM17 does. However, it's going to be a little bit more I guess a little bit more often, so, and maybe a little bit more pronounced as well. So you will see that. The next comparison is going to be the 1430 and the Navistar MV, and I'll kind of talk about this now that both of these vehicles do just have all-wheel drive. So this one has always on all-wheel drive, and the NF 1430 has the switchable features. Now, the reason I put this comparison in is both of these vehicles, like I said, have all-wheel drive, yet they don't have differential locking. However, they both get an heavyweight tire option, which is the OHD tires. Now, if you look at my video on mud roading tips, I do highly recommend using the OHDs just because they're wide track. They're great for getting out of mud. They're great with hauling heavy things and gaining additional traction. In the stream that I uploaded in my first playthrough, my first couple hours in the game, I was using this NF 1430, hauling things around, just using high gear and all-wheel drive, and it felt a lot like the Navistar. However, here's the differences between these, and this is why I think it's kind of similar to the Navistar, but it will never actually be as good as an off-roader or anywhere even near the Navistar. Yes, it can do more things, has more add-ons and more capabilities just from versatility of the add-ons, yet the Navistar does weigh 15.4 US tons, and sadly the 1430 only weighs 8 US tons. So there's quite a difference there. And when I talked about weight being a factor in traction, especially with these wide track OHD1 tires that I wish all of these trucks got, every Western Star truck, I wish they all had these, you're going to see better performance out of the Navistar by far. Another thing that does affect this is tire height. As you can see, there is 49 inches for the Navistar MV, and there's only 44 inches here on the 1430, and this lacks a raised suspension option to get any type of option for a larger tire. So you're going to see a slight comparison with how these vehicles act. This vehicle does have a stronger engine than the Navistar. It is lighter. However, I don't think that really affects it because the Navistar, as we know, is quite insane with what it can do despite not having all-wheel drive. I mean, not having differential locking. So those are just some comparisons. And then other than that, the NF 1424 is just basically like a standard American truck that now has all-wheel drive and diff lock in the switchable form. So, and you can see it does have 1-inch larger tires than the standard vehicles, like its Western Star brother, the 49X. It does have a raised suspension option as well. So you might see a little bit of performance there, but mainly this thing is just set up to be a tractor. So that is my thoughts there on the comparisons part. Now I'm just going to give you my general overall thoughts from a personal standpoint of what I think these upgrades have done. So let's get into that. If you've tuned in for the streams with max power on our all-American co-op or realistic co-op mode, or even my hard mode playthrough, you've heard me mention my thoughts on this subject concerning the Wolfpack DLC pre and post Season 8 drop. So my thoughts really on this is, one, Giving them an all-wheel drive and some things as well, I don't think is realistic. However, I really feel that a diff lock and an OHD option would be really, really good for these vehicles, and potentially a reclass, making them either in the heavy duty or highway class, as the 57X has been reclassed as well as of phase 8. I feel like that would have been a better move. Adding them to the heavy class I don't think is a good fit for them, because they are so light. They really didn't have all-wheel drive, and they're just not super capable to be in that class. Now, however, I do know that the game is not realistic. It is a simulator game, and Sabre honestly is in the business of making money, so upgrading these trucks with an all-wheel drive option and adding these add-ons as well was a good marketing move to boost sales of the DLC and also make the community more happy, because you don't want those downvotes on any of those streaming platforms, Steam, or even on Epic Games. You want your community to be happy, so I understand why they were given an all-wheel drive feature. And in honesty, driving those around with this upgrade has been a much more pleasurable experience, because I'm not so much dependent on other vehicles to pull me through. You know, having that axle up front powered gives you a lot more versatility, as I explained in this video, with all those add-ons, so that could be an additional upside there for these vehicles that you could add in yourself. Also, I must mention that with all-wheel drive comes the penalty of all-wheel drive on fuel consumption, so you might have to watch out for that. You will see some of those values come up, but overall, I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. Anyways, guys, that is my thoughts. I hope it wasn't a complaining session here. I hope you found this information useful, and as always, until next time, God bless and stay upright.